civilians injured, 4 police officers injured this time.
Okay. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. I hope you are ready. Okay, thank you very much. This is a statement following today's chaos, looting, violence, and disruption of transport during protests against the fuel prices this Monday, 18th of May 2026. Our attention has been drawn to the chaos, violence, looting, and disruption of transport in the country today, ostensibly to protest high fuel prices. Even though our Constitution protects the right to demonstrate and picket, it is quite unfortunate that today's protests have once again been hijacked by political actors for political ends. Whereas we take cognizance of the fact that fuel prices have risen significantly as a result of ongoing global political crisis, looting, violence, blocking roads, and vandalizing public and private property can in no way bring down the oil prices. If anything, the disruption of transport and closure of business can only worsen the situation. The government, led by the National Treasury and the Ministries of Energy and Transport, are taking steps to engage with transport stakeholders to explore the ways of addressing price increases, and we are confident that the talks will bear fruit. We are, however, concerned that although most parts of Kenya were peaceful, criminal elements in some parts have been mobilized and deployed by rogue politicians to target government projects, property, personal property, pro-government, and also property of pro-government leaders. The looting of Ketia supermarkets owned by a member of parliament who supports government, the burning down of UDA offices in Wote in Makueni County, and the torching of 2 trucks at the site of Rironi Mau Summit flagship project are not coincidence, but a calculated move to spread fear and intimidate government supporters and innocent public servants. Coupled with the recent violent attacks on Ms. Rachel Wandeto, who passed on this morning, we are witnessing a clear scheme where a section of political class is making incendiary statements to fund intolerance and ethnic bigotry and organizing gangs to spread terror, sabotage government projects, and profile and intimidate those of different political opinion, especially those who support government. We wish to reassure the country that the government will do everything in its powers to protect lives and property, and at no time would lawlessness be allowed to take root in any part of our country. We will intensify our fight against organized crime and its sponsors who are hell-bent on propagating anarchy. The full force of law will be brought to bear on the organizers of today's violence and wanton destruction of property. In fact, it is about 348 of them have already, perpetrators have already been arrested. It is quite unfortunate also that 4 Kenyans in today's violence, which also saw more than 30 people, it's unfortunate that we lost 4 Kenyans in today's violence, which also saw more than 30 people injured. It is very regrettable that there are politicians in this country who measure the success of opposition to the government by the number of innocent lives lost in the demonstrations they organize. This is the lowest form of politics and the most wicked manifestations of self-interest. To the leaders who have been profiling Kenyans of different political opinion and calling them traitors, we shall hold you personally responsible for the lives lost and property destroyed as a result of your statements. You will be answerable now and in the future. I commend Kenyans who went about their business in peace, and actually, largely in most parts of the country, Kenyans went about their business in peace, but also there are some public transport owners who protested in peace by just keeping off the transport system without really interrupting other people's lives. And we regret, in some cases, disruption of transport and businesses that have been looted, including a supermarket in Naivasha, which, as by the time we were coming here, was still facing invasion by goons. Let us remain calm as Kenyans, as relevant government agencies address the issue of fuel prices. To those traveling, our security agencies are under instructions to ensure our safety. All the roads that were blocked have now been cleared. Part of Kirinyaga, there was an attempt in Rongai and in Kitengela, and a particular attempt in Kakamega to invade.
I just wanted to know the 4 people who lost their lives, under what circumstances they lose.
As for those who lost their lives, investigations are ongoing. It will establish exactly civilians. So we leave that to the investigators to establish the exact situation, whether these are innocent civilians, innocent citizens, or were they criminals who died in the process of being apprehended or being dealt with. And on the question of oil prices, as you may be aware, there is an ongoing meeting now between the ministries of transport and energy with the stakeholders, and the way forward on the question of oil prices. But nobody is a visitor in Jerusalem. We at least have guarantee of supply of the fuel, even if it's and I did it on the floor of the Senate. But you should give us credit that no life was lost during that time, during that agitation, that we never organized a protest. We never agitated for Matatu sector to stop transport. In fact, I dare say that the leaders of Matatu industry at that point in time never protested against the government. So the question you should be asking yourself, why did they feel that it was okay to understand President Uhuru Kenyatta, but when it is President William Ruto, they should go to the streets? You should ask yourself, why did they not stop their vehicles just less than 4 years ago? And why is it that in the administration of President William Ruto, they have stopped their vehicles from coming to the streets? There must be something. There must be a certain level of profiling that applies to William Ruto that does not apply to President Uhuru Kenyatta. And the guess is as good as, your guess is as good as mine. If you will give us credit for those who were opposed to the administration that time, you must give us credit for using constitutional means and using the floor of the House and giving alternative suggestions to how to handle the fuel crisis. We never organized one protest, no life was lost, no supermarket was looted, no person was targeted to be killed as a result of the higher fuel prices less than 5 years ago. So I am very proud of my record and the statements I made in the Senate just about 5 years ago. And I'm very proud of how President William Ruto handled his opposition to how government was running its affairs in the last 5 years. I wish current opposition would emulate him instead of organizing violence and so forth. And I am just asking the most simple thing. Please, the transport sector, the way you understood President Uhuru Kenyatta and never went on strike just less than 5 years ago, that is the same way you should understand President William Ruto because he's in office. Number two is that how can we ensure that in future protests do not lead to loss of life? It's just by ensuring that protests are protests. They are not criminal activities, acts of crime, looting, robbing people of their property, burning of property. As long as we stop, and I see you in the media, reporting that protesters, I saw one today, protesters in Naivasha banned 2 vehicles. Those are not protesters. Protests is constitutional. Protest is presupposed to be peaceful. Banning of 2 vehicles, the media should be able to profile the way it should be, to say criminals ban 2 vehicles in the name of protest. I wonder why media in our country does not really always give a proviso to such situations by saying there were protests, but today it was not protests, it was criminal activities that banned vehicles. Why are facts distorted? Why are facts distorted? And sometimes protesters were killed. Probably criminals who were looting were killed. They were not protesters. So let us characterize any peaceful protests will be protected in this country. And I don't think any one life will be lost in a situation where the protest is peaceful. So let it be protests, not criminal activities, and life will not be lost. The last thing I'll say is that who are these politicians we are talking about? The investigations are not going, but the incitements, the people who have been inciting, particularly that the former deputy president is on record inciting people who have a different opinion and telling people in his backyard that anybody who is having an alternative political opinion supporting President Ruto is a traitor, and the traitors must be punished. So the understanding of his supporters perhaps is that you must attack physically traitors, and he will be held personally responsible. And all other politicians who are engaging in these acts of violence will personally be held responsible. I see sometimes some of these politicians speaking about ICC, take this one ICC and so forth. I don't know if they know that they are making their bed now and they will lie in it. So it is important for every one of us to become aware of their own acts. And we will take the necessary legal steps to bring all of them to face the law. I know even the banning of the UDF officers in Wote, in Makueni, was organized by politicians, and the investigations are not going. So just give the DCI a few more hours, and those who are personally responsible will be held to account. I think I have answered all the questions. Yeah, I'm seeing somebody somewhere there. Yes, last one. Sorry, because you guys also indulged us by waiting for over an hour. I am indulging you by taking more questions.
There's a dictatorship of the Kenyans. They're crying, why landlord countries, their prices are going down. Yet they're getting their fuel from the same port, which is in Mombasa port. Including the Ethiopia, which is very, very low than Kenyans.
I don't want to mention countries, but the last example you gave, just go and Google now if they have any fuel. Okay? Even some of our neighboring countries already, they are rationing their fuel by telling the motorists they will take only a certain amount per week. So Kenya is different. We are a different economy. We have different challenges, and we have different approaches to issues. But I don't think in the next few days you will be willing to ask the same question in terms of comparison of price, because the information we have is that as days go by, everybody is feeling the impact, even by our neighbors. So that difference you're speaking about is not significant enough for you to measure the difference. Let's give it another 2 weeks and let's have that discussion again. But the most competent institution to respond to your question, of course, is the Ministry of Energy, and you know, because of the meeting they have at the moment and the Treasury and so forth, they will answer that question accordingly. The question you should also be asking is that how come in many countries where they have higher fuel prices, why are they not protesting by stopping public transport? Logically, the fact that the fuel is there should have guaranteed public transport, maybe at some slight higher cost. Then when government comes in, they would ask themselves, do we cushion the fuel prices or cushion the service provider by giving certain subsidy? But to say the fuel is there and you are not going to be able to continue public transport, I think it's unfortunate. And I'll tell you, just ask yourself a fundamental question. There is a reason why 5 years ago, under the leadership of President Uhuru Kenyatta, the public transport owners do not go on strike. And they decided in this particular time, at this particular time, in the administration of President William Ruto, they went on strike. That is a question that should prick your conscience and the conscience of any person who is willing to think through this issue. Asanteni sana. May God bless you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. You keep the tablet. Yeah. Phone line in here. Give him